The desert stretched endlessly, golden waves of sand glowing under the hot sun. The wind carried whispers of history, as if the land itself remembered every step taken on its surface. A small team of explorers worked quietly near a cluster of half-buried stone pillars. Their tents stood in the distance, but their eyes were fixed on the ground where ancient stone slabs were being uncovered. Among them was Taryn, a young researcher who often looked more curious than tired, though the work was long and heavy. He brushed sand from a carved stone and paused. The symbols were old, older than anything he had studied before. The shapes looked like hieroglyphs, but they curved in strange patterns, not like ordinary Egyptian writing. The team leader, an older man named Sarin, bent down beside him. "These markings are unusual. They almost look like maps, not words," he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed excitement. For weeks they had followed hidden passages beneath the sand, guided by fragments of forgotten scrolls. The record spoke of a pharaoh who ordered his tomb sealed forever, warning that none should disturb his final gift from the gods. Most dismissed the story as legend, yet here they were, standing on the threshold of something no one had touched for thousands of years. The team worked together to move the last of the sand. With every stone cleared, the air grew heavier, as if the desert was holding its breath. At last they found a massive stone door. Strange carvings ran across its surface, forming a pattern like a star map. Taryn reached out and touched it. The stone was warm, though no sunlight touched it. "It feels alive," he whispered. With careful effort, they pushed the door open. A rush of air escaped, cold and dry, as if the tomb had been waiting to exhale. Their lamps flickered, throwing shadows on walls painted with scenes of the pharaoh standing beneath the stars. In the center of the chamber stood a golden chest unlike any they had ever seen. It was not shaped like ordinary burial treasures. It was long, with smooth sides and glowing inscriptions that seemed to shift when looked at too closely. The carvings showed a pharaoh holding the chest high, surrounded by figures that did not look human. Their heads were shaped like helmets, or perhaps like creatures from another place. The explorers stood in silence. Even Sarin, who had seen many great discoveries, did not speak for a long moment. Finally, he said, "We have found something that will change history." They moved closer, their steps cautious. Taryn's heart pounded as he studied the chest. He felt drawn to it, as though it was waiting for him. When he brushed his hand lightly across the surface, the golden arc released a faint hum. The sound was soft, like distant music carried by the wind. The others gasped, but Taryn could not move his hand. He felt warmth travel through his arm, not painful but powerful. The symbols across the chest glowed brighter for a moment, then slowly faded again. Sarin placed a hand on Taryn's shoulder and gently pulled him back. "Do not touch it again until we understand what it is," he warned. His voice was steady, but his face showed unease. The team recorded every detail, drawing the patterns and taking careful notes. They knew the world would soon know of this discovery, yet a quiet fear hung over them. This was not a simple treasure buried with a king. It was something more, something the pharaoh himself had chosen to hide. That night, the camp was restless. The wind outside howled across the desert, shaking the tents. Taryn lay awake, his mind replaying the moment he touched the ark. He had seen something, though he was not sure if it was real or only in his thoughts. For an instant, he had glimpsed a sky filled with unfamiliar stars, brighter and closer than any he had seen before. It was as if the ark had opened a window to another world. When dawn came, the explorers gathered again inside the tomb. They prepared to move the ark carefully, securing ropes and supports. Yet even as they worked, they felt the weight of unseen eyes watching them. The desert was vast and empty, but the silence carried a strange pressure. As the ark was lifted from its resting place, the walls of the tomb seemed to vibrate. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the painted stars on the walls shimmered faintly. Taryn caught his breath, staring at the symbols. They were no longer still. They shifted into patterns, forming new constellations he had never studied before. Sarin ordered everyone out, fearing the tomb might collapse. Outside, under the blazing sun, the golden ark gleamed as though it carried light within it. The team covered it with cloth, but the glow seemed to seep through. "Be careful," Sarin said firmly. "This is not ordinary gold. This may be the pharaoh's warning, not his treasure." The word stayed with Taryn. As the trucks prepared to take the ark to the nearest research station, he could not shake the feeling that their discovery was not the end of a journey, but the beginning of one. The pharaoh had hidden something powerful, something meant to remain secret until the right time. The desert wind rose again, carrying with it the quiet voice of history. The Ark was leaving its ancient home, and with it the first spark of a mystery that could reach far beyond Earth had been lit. The golden Ark rested in the center of the research hall. Bright lights surrounded it, shining from every corner, but none of the light could match the soft glow coming from the Ark itself. Scientists moved around it with careful steps, recording every detail. Machines scanned its surface, measuring heat, sound, and energy. Terran stood close, holding a notebook. His eyes kept returning to the shifting symbols on the sides. They seemed alive, moving slowly when no one was watching directly. He wondered if they were truly changing, or if the Ark was playing tricks on the mind. Professor Saren watched the monitors. The older man kept his hands behind his back, but his gaze was sharp. "No ordinary metal," he said. "Its structure does not match any element we know. Even the gold is different." One of the engineers spoke from across the room. "It reacts strangely to our instruments. The readings keep breaking the machines. The Ark seems to resist being measured." The room grew quiet for a moment. Everyone felt the same thought but did not say it aloud. The Ark did not want to be studied. Later that night, when most of the team rested in their quarters, Terran returned to the hall alone. He could not sleep. The Ark pulled at his thoughts like a magnet. He walked slowly around it, the glow reflecting in his eyes. As he stood before it, the air in the room shifted. The silence became heavier, pressing against his ears. Then, without warning, a faint hum rose from the Ark. It spread through the floor, into the walls, into Terran's chest. He held his breath, afraid to move. Light began to flow across the carvings, bright lines weaving like rivers of fire. They formed patterns, and Terran realized they were not random. The glowing lines were maps of stars. He saw constellations, circles of planets, and paths between them. Some he recognized from Earth's sky, but others were new. They were not of this world. The glow faded slowly, but the hum did not stop. It pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and deep. Terran stepped back, but the sound seemed to follow him. The next morning, the entire station buzzed with reports. The scientists had detected a sudden energy wave, a pulse that escaped from the Ark during the night. It was not dangerous to humans, but it had traveled far into space. The instruments showed the wave stretching beyond Earth's orbit, moving into the dark unknown. Saren's face grew grave as he studied the data. "It was not an accident," he said softly. "The Ark has awakened." The news reached the outside world quickly. Governments demanded reports, and rumors spread across the media. Some called it the greatest discovery of the century. Others whispered it was a danger that should be hidden again. Inside the station, the team argued. One group wanted to lock the Ark away before it did something worse. Another group insisted it must be studied further, for it could hold secrets of the universe. Terran remained silent, but his heart raced. He remembered the vision he saw when he touched the Ark in the desert. He remembered stars that did not belong to Earth. Now the Ark was showing the same truth to everyone. Days passed, but the hum did not fade. At times, the lights flickered across the station. Screens glowed with strange shapes. Machines turned on by themselves, and the sound of distant music drifted through the air vents. No one could explain it. Then one night, the stars outside the station's observatory changed. A beam of faint light rose from the Ark, invisible to the naked eye but clear through the telescopes. It stretched outward, pointing to the sky like a signal. "Something is listening," said Saren. His voice was calm, but his hands trembled. Across the hall, the younger scientists exchanged nervous looks. They all knew what he meant. The Ark was calling out, and the call might not go unanswered. Terran stood by the window, staring at the endless night sky. He wondered who or what might be watching from out there. If the Pharaoh had hidden this Ark long ago, had he also known it could reach across the stars? The team tried to block the signal, placing heavy shields around the Ark. But the energy passed through every barrier, spreading quietly into space. It could not be stopped. At dawn, the hum grew stronger, filling the halls with vibrations. The walls shook slightly, and the lights flickered more fiercely. The Ark glowed brighter than ever before, as if it had fully awakened. Everyone gathered in the hall, staring in awe and fear. The golden chest no longer looked like treasure. It looked alive, like a heart beating for the first time in centuries. Saren spoke in a steady voice. "This is no gift of gold. This is a beacon." Terran felt a chill run through him. The Pharaoh had hidden the ark in silence, buried deep in the desert, locked away from the world. Now, after thousands of years, the silence was broken. The team stood in the glow of the ark, their faces pale and uncertain. None of them knew who would answer the call or what it would mean for Earth. But they all felt the same truth. Something had changed, and there was no turning back. Far above the planet, the signal kept traveling, carrying its silent message into the unknown reaches of space. The Pharaoh's secret was no longer hidden. The sky above Earth had always been calm, a place of stars and silence. But that silence did not last. Weeks after the ark sent out its strange pulse, telescopes began to capture new shapes in the heavens. Objects were moving near the edge of the solar system. They were not asteroids, and they were not natural. At first, the scientists whispered, unwilling to believe. The readings showed massive vessels, larger than any human craft, gliding closer with slow and steady motion. Soon the news spread. Governments tried to keep it quiet, but nothing could hide the truth. Earth was no longer alone. In the research station, the team watched every update with heavy hearts. The ark sat in the hall, glowing softly as if it knew what was coming. "They have heard the call," said Professor Saren. His voice was heavy, "and now they are answering." Terran stood at the window, looking out at the night sky. He could not see the visitors with his own eyes, but he felt them. It was as though the stars themselves were watching. Days passed, and the vessels grew closer. Then one morning, the world changed forever. A fleet of shining ships appeared in Earth's orbit. They were vast, their surfaces smooth and bright like liquid metal. Their lights shimmered with colors no human language could name. The world panicked. Military forces scrambled, governments argued, and people prayed. Yet the visitors made no move to attack. They hovered silently, waiting. It was not long before a message was received. It came through every channel at once, clear and strong. The voice was calm, yet it carried great power. "People of Earth," the voice said, "you have awakened the Ark of the Pharaoh. It does not belong to you. Return it to us or face the weight of your choice." The station fell into silence as the message repeated. The team stared at each other, their hearts pounding. Saren broke the silence at last. "So it is true. The Pharaoh's Ark came from them." The scientists began to argue. Some said the Ark must be given away at once to save Earth. Others insisted it was humanity's chance to learn, to grow. The debate spread across the planet. Should the treasure be surrendered, or should humans stand firm? Terran listened but spoke little. His eyes often returned to the Ark. He noticed something strange. Whenever the visitor's message echoed through the station, the glow of the Ark dimmed as if it disliked their presence. But when humans touched it, even lightly, the glow grew stronger. He began to wonder if the Ark truly belonged to the visitors at all. That night, when the station was quiet, Terran walked near the Ark again. He placed his hand on the surface. Warmth spread through him and his vision blurred. He saw images that filled his mind like dreams. He saw a pharaoh standing tall, holding the golden ark high above his head. Around him stood the same shining visitors, their faces hidden by strange shapes of light. The pharaoh's voice rang clear in Terran's mind. This gift was not theirs to rule. It was placed in my hands to protect my people, and now it belongs to my children of Earth. The vision faded and Terran gasped. He stepped back, his heart racing. The ark was alive with light again, brighter than before. The next morning he told Saren what he had seen. The professor listened carefully, his face grave. If that vision is true, then the pharaoh himself defied these visitors. He kept the ark hidden from them. The thought filled the room with a new kind of silence. If the pharaoh had resisted them, could humanity do the same? Soon another message arrived from the ships. This time the voice was sharper. You are not worthy of the ark. Hand it over, or you will bring ruin to yourselves. Earth's leaders gathered in secret meetings. The question weighed heavily. Surrender would bring safety, at least for now, but keeping the ark might bring both danger and hope. Inside the station, Terran felt the ark humming once more. It was not afraid. It seemed to grow stronger as the visitors drew closer, as if preparing itself. Saren turned to Terran. The pharaoh chose to guard this ark for thousands of years. Perhaps he believed one day his people would be ready. Perhaps he believed that day would come in our time. Outside, the great ships waited silently above Earth, their shadows stretching across the sky. They did not fire, but their presence was enough to shake the hearts of every human being. Terran stood by the ark, his hand resting lightly on its golden side. He felt the warmth again, steady and sure. He whispered softly, almost to himself, "Maybe the ark does not want to leave us. Maybe it has chosen humanity." The glow of the ark pulsed gently like an answer, and so the world stood on the edge of a choice. The visitors from the void had come to claim the Pharaoh's golden ark, but the heart of the ark seemed to beat with earth. The silence before the storm hung heavy, and everyone knew the moment of decision was near. The world watched in fear as the great ship stayed above earth. They did not move closer, yet their presence pressed heavily on every mind. The visitors had made their demand, and now the choice rested with humanity. Inside the research station, tension grew. The golden ark stood at the center of the hall, glowing faintly like a waiting fire. Scientists surrounded it, but they argued more than they studied. Some urged to give it away at once. Others shouted that it must be protected. Professor Seren listened to all sides but spoke little. His eyes were always on the ark, as though searching for a truth hidden within its shifting light. Terran worked quietly by himself, studying the old carvings recorded from the tomb. The more he traced the lines, the more he realized they were more than decoration. They were instructions hidden in plain sight. Each symbol matched with the star maps that appeared on the ark when it awakened. One night, he gathered the courage to speak to Seren. "I think the Pharaoh left us more than a treasure. He left us guidance. These markings are a message." Seren leaned closer, studying the notes. "A message for whom?" "For us," Terran replied firmly. "Only humans can read it. The symbols are built on Egyptian forms, not the language of the visitors. It means the Pharaoh wanted us to be the ones to understand." Together they studied through the night. Slowly, the hidden message took shape. The carving spoke of a power that could light the skies or darken them forever. The ark held energy strong enough to awaken stars or silence them. It was not a weapon in the common sense. It was the breath of creation itself. Terran's voice shook as he read the final line. "The gift will burn empires if held by greed, but it will guide worlds if held by wisdom." Silence filled the room. Seren placed a hand on the ark, his old eyes heavy with thought. The Pharaoh did not hide this because it was useless. He hid it because it was too great to trust in the wrong hands. He defied the visitors so that his people might one day be ready. The next day, Terran shared their findings with the team. Many gasped in disbelief, some in fear. If the ark could truly awaken or silence stars, then its power was beyond imagination. The news spread quickly to the world's leaders. Meetings grew more intense, but answers did not come easily. To hold such power was both a gift and a danger. That evening, as the sun set, a new message came from the ships above. The voice of the visitors was calm but firm. "You play with fire. That ark is older than your kind. It belongs to us, and you cannot master it." But the ark responded. As the message echoed, the glow brightened, and lines of light spread across the hall floor. The shapes formed maps again, but this time the paths pulsed with steady rhythm. It was as if the ark was rejecting the claim of the visitors. Terran stepped closer, feeling the warmth wash over him. The vision came again, brighter than before. He saw the Pharaoh standing in a chamber lit with starlight. The Pharaoh's eyes were steady, his hands on the ark. His voice reached across the vision. "Children of Earth, this power is not theirs. It is yours to guard when the time has come. Use it not for conquest, but for light. If you burn with greed, you will fall. If you walk with care, you will rise." When the vision ended, Terran felt both humbled and strengthened. He shared it with Seren, who nodded slowly. The Pharaoh trusted the future of humanity. He believed in us more than in the Sky Kings who sought only control. The next day, Terran noticed something even stranger. The ark reacted more strongly when touched by human hands than by machines. When engineers tried to use tools, the symbols dimmed. But when a person touched the surface with care, the symbols came alive. The others began to see the same truth. The ark was not made to obey the visitors. It was meant to listen to humanity. Still, the fear remained. What if the visitors lost patience? What if they struck Earth to take what they wanted? The fleets above grew restless. Their lights shimmered brighter, their shadows stretching across the oceans. Yet inside the hall, Terran felt a quiet hope. For the first time, humanity was not only facing fear, they were facing a choice. The Pharaoh's legacy was not about hiding forever. It was about learning to stand with wisdom. That night, Seren spoke to the team in a calm but steady voice. "The ark is not a curse. It is a test. The Pharaoh believed in his people and through us in all of Earth. If we give it away, we throw away that trust. If we keep it, we must prove worthy. Taran placed his hand on the ark again, feeling the warmth rise like a heartbeat. The glow spread gently as if agreeing with Saren's words. The Pharaoh's secret was becoming clear. The golden ark was not simply treasure. It was a legacy, a promise that humanity could grow beyond fear if only it chose wisely. Outside, the visitors waited. Inside, Earth's guardians stood with the ark, uncertain but no longer blind. The choice ahead would decide not only their fate, but the path of their species among the stars. The fleets of the visitors hung above Earth like shining mountains in the sky. Their presence filled the world with unease. Every city felt their silent watch. Governments met in urgent gatherings, scientists sent reports day and night, and the people prayed for safety. Yet the visitors did not strike. They waited, as though expecting humanity to decide its path. In the research station, the golden ark glowed more brightly with each passing day. The shifting lines across its surface now moved with rhythm, like living streams of light. Every time a human touched it with calm intent, the glow answered warmly. Every time a machine scanned it, the symbols grew faint. Professor Saren stood at the center of the hall, his voice steady. The ark responds to us, not to them. This proves the Pharaoh was right. He guarded it for humanity. But now the visitors test us. They want to see if we are worthy. The message from the ships confirmed his words. The voice of the visitors rang through every channel once again. If you claim the ark, then show its truth. Prove that you can master it. If you fail, it will return to those who kept it long before your kind walked the earth. The hall filled with silence. No one wished for a challenge against such beings, yet no one wished to surrender either. Taran looked at the ark, his heart steady. The Pharaoh said it is not about conquest, he said softly. It is about intent. Maybe the trial is not power, but purpose. That evening, the team gathered around the ark. They placed their hands lightly upon its surface, one by one. As they did, the glow spread outward, filling the hall with gentle light. Then visions began to rise in their minds, clear and strong. They saw cities of glass and stone beneath skies of 1,000 suns. They saw empires rise in glory, only to fall into dust when greed consumed them. They saw civilizations choosing war and vanishing like shadows. Yet they also saw worlds where people chose peace, building bridges among the stars and lighting paths for each other. The images were not commands. They were lessons written in light and memory. The ark was showing what had been and what could be. Taran felt the meaning settle deep inside him. The ark was not asking for strength of arms. It was asking for strength of spirit. When the visions faded, the hall was quiet. The team looked at one another, their eyes wide. "It is not a weapon," whispered one scientist. "It is a mirror. It reflects who holds it." Saren nodded slowly. The Pharaoh was tested long ago. He chose to protect his people, not to burn his enemies. That is why he kept the ark hidden. Now it tests us. The next day, the visitors demanded the result of the trial. Their voice was calm, yet edged with doubt. "Show us the heart of your kind. If your spirit is hollow, the ark will reveal it." The team prepared carefully. They gathered in the hall, placing the ark at the center. Around the world, leaders and citizens watched through broadcasts. Everyone waited for the answer of the golden chest. Saren stepped forward first. His hands trembled slightly, but his voice was firm. "We do not seek to rule the stars. We seek to walk among them with care. If this ark is a test, let it judge us now." He placed both hands on the surface. The glow spread quickly, wrapping the hall in waves of light. Then, to the surprise of all, it did not show destruction. Instead, it revealed images of Earth's past. It showed people building homes, sharing fire, guiding each other through storms. It showed teachers passing wisdom, healers caring for the weak, and dreamers reaching for the sky. It showed humanity's struggles, but also its hope. The light grew brighter, as if the ark was answering yes to his words. Taran stepped forward next. His voice was quiet, but his heart was strong. "We are not perfect. We fall, we fail, we fight. But we learn, we rise, and we try again. If you believe only in power, then you cannot understand us. But if you believe in growth, then see us as we are." When his hands touched the ark, the glow pulsed like a heartbeat. Visions of Earth's future appeared. Cities with shining towers, ships sailing across the stars, children laughing under alien skies. It was not certain, but it was possible. The ark was showing what could be if humanity chose wisely. The team gasped, filled with awe. Even the visitors watching from orbit sent no words. They were silent, as though the visions had reached them as well. The light faded slowly, leaving the hall in stillness. Terran lowered his hands, his breath unsteady. The ark stood quiet again, but its glow remained warm. Saren spoke softly, his eyes on the sky. The trial was not of strength. It was of heart. The ark has spoken for us. Now the visitors must decide whether they believe its answer. Above Earth, the great ships hovered in silence. For the first time, the watchers from the void hesitated. Humanity had faced the trial, and the ark had not rejected them. The Pharaoh's legacy was alive, and it had chosen to shine with the children of Earth. The great ships still hovered above Earth, their smooth surfaces reflecting sunlight like mirrors in the sky. Humanity held its breath. Every eye watched, every heart waited. The visitors had not attacked, but their presence was a reminder that the choice was far from over. Inside the research station, the golden ark glowed softly, its warmth filling the hall. Terran stood near it, his hand resting lightly on its surface. He could feel the pulse of energy, steady and strong like a heartbeat of the stars themselves. Professor Saren moved to his side. "The trial is complete," he said. "The ark has shown what we are, but it is not enough for the visitors. They still test our decision." The message from the fleets arrived again. The voice was firm. "If you keep the ark, you accept responsibility. Its power can create or destroy. Choose wisely. Your actions will decide more than your world." Terran looked at the others. Scientists, engineers, and leaders crowded the hall. Everyone waited for someone to speak first. No one moved. The weight of the choice pressed on every soul. Finally, Terran spoke. "We have seen what the ark can do. It reflects who we are. If we use it for anger or greed, we will burn ourselves and others. But if we use it for care, for guidance, we can rise higher than ever before." Saren nodded slowly. The Pharaoh's words were clear. The ark amplifies the heart of its holder. Rage brings ruin. Compassion brings creation. We must decide not what we want, but what is right. The team gathered closer. Hands touched the ark with care, their hearts steady. The glow spread quickly, lighting the hall with golden light. The symbols shifted, forming paths of stars that moved like living rivers. Outside, the visitors watched. Their lights pulsed slowly, as if they waited to see if humanity could choose the right path. Terran felt the ark responding more strongly than ever. It was alive with purpose, listening to the intentions of the humans around it. Every thought of greed or fear dimmed its glow. Every thought of hope and care made it shine brighter. "We will not fight with fire," Terran said firmly. "We will not burn empires. We will use this gift to guide, to protect, to grow." The room was quiet. Even the younger scientists listened in awe. Their hearts were filled with a new sense of responsibility. For the first time, they understood the meaning of the Pharaoh's choice. The ark pulsed one final time, and then a wave of energy spread through the station. It reached into the sky, carrying a message beyond words. The wave touched the visitors' ships, and a visible reaction rippled across their hulls. They had not expected humans to choose restraint. The voice of the visitors spoke once more. "You have made your choice. We see the truth in your hearts. You are worthy to hold the ark, but with caution. Misuse it, and you will bear the weight alone." The ships remained above Earth for a while longer, studying the humans. Then slowly they began to move back, leaving orbit. Their presence was still near, but they no longer hovered threateningly. They had seen that humanity had chosen wisely. Inside the station, the team watched the glow of the ark settle into a steady light. It was no longer pulsing with urgency. It was calm yet alive, as if satisfied with the choice made. Saren spoke softly to Terran. "The ark has tested us. Humanity has chosen to rise, not to destroy. But we must remember, this is only the beginning. The responsibility is ours to carry." Terran nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. The Pharaoh's gift was no longer just a treasure. It was a path to the future. A path that required courage, care, and wisdom. Outside the station, the sun rose over Earth, shining on seas, mountains, and deserts. The world had survived the test not through force, but through thought, restraint, and hope. The ark's light spread quietly across the planet, a reminder that humanity had grown stronger, not by fire, but by choice. Terran placed his hand on the ark once more. Warmth flowed through him. He whispered softly, "We will honor you, Pharaoh. We will rise among the stars as you wished." The golden ark shimmered, almost as if answering him. It was no longer a secret, but a promise. Humanity had accepted its responsibility. and the visitors had recognized it. The choice of humanity had been made. The path forward was clear, and the light of the Ark would guide them into a new dawn. The fleets of the visitors had retreated from Earth, their vast ships now distant points of light among the stars. Yet humanity knew they were still watching, silently, patiently. The golden Ark remained at the research station, its glow steady and warm, a quiet promise of power tempered by wisdom. Terran stood beside it, feeling the pulse of energy beneath his hands. The warmth flowed into him like sunlight through water. He remembered the visions, the lessons, the Pharaoh's words. This was no ordinary treasure. It was a guide, a test, and now, a gift. Professor Saren approached, his old eyes reflecting the golden light. "The Ark has chosen to stay with us," he said softly. "It trusts humanity. That trust is rare among the stars." The world outside had begun to change quietly. Across continents, people spoke of hope and responsibility. News of the Ark's trial inspired discussions about cooperation, care, and growth. Humans realized that true power was not in dominating others, but in guiding wisely and protecting what was precious. Terran looked at the Ark. The symbols on its surface shifted again, forming constellations unknown to Earth. Each star pattern seemed to point toward places beyond the solar system. The Ark was showing them paths, not treasures, not weapons, but routes to knowledge, exploration, and discovery. He whispered, "It is leading us to new worlds." The Pharaoh wanted us to rise, not just on Earth, but among the stars. The team began to prepare for the next step. Scientists studied the maps. Engineers designed ships capable of following them. And leaders discussed how humanity could move forward together. The Ark's light illuminated their plans, guiding decisions with clarity and wisdom. Then one night, as Terran worked alone beside the Ark, he felt a strange vibration. The golden chest pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. The energy flowed outward, touching the instruments, the walls, and the air. It was as if the Ark itself was alive, aware of every thought and intention. He closed his eyes and saw visions once more. They were not of destruction, not of fear, but of hope. Humanity walking among stars, sharing knowledge, learning from other civilizations, lighting cities on new worlds. He saw bridges of light stretching between planets and people of Earth standing proudly as explorers and guides. The Ark's glow dimmed slowly, leaving a gentle light that filled the hall. Terran opened his eyes. He felt certain that the future had begun. The next morning, Professor Saren gathered the team. "The Ark has shown us what we can be. It is no longer a test. It is our responsibility to carry this gift forward. We must honor the Pharaoh's trust." Outside, the sun rose over the Earth, shining on mountains, forests, and oceans. The planet seemed to breathe in the light of the Ark, and humanity felt the warmth of purpose for the first time. Across the world, people looked to the skies with wonder and hope. Children dreamed of distant stars, teachers spoke of cooperation and care, and leaders remembered that true strength was in wisdom, not in weapons. The Golden Ark had changed more than science. It had touched the hearts of all who learned of it. Terran placed his hands on the Ark once again. He whispered, "We will not fail. We will carry your legacy, Pharaoh. We will rise among the stars as you wished." The glow of the Ark shimmered, almost as if answering him. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat of light. The symbols on its surface shifted into new constellations, showing paths to distant systems where other civilizations might wait, other treasures and knowledge might exist. Humanity had a new purpose. The visitors remained distant, but the Ark's choice had changed everything. Earth was no longer alone. Humans had proven themselves worthy, not through conquest or fear, but through care, patience, and wisdom. The Golden Ark became a symbol, not of power to destroy, but of the responsibility to guide. It reminded humanity that true greatness came from choices, from courage to do what was right, even when fear whispered otherwise. Terran and the team stood together in the glow, feeling the weight of history and the promise of the future. The Pharaoh's secret was no longer buried. It had risen with humanity. Above Earth, the stars stretched endlessly, waiting for new travelers. The Ark pointed the way, its golden light aflame to lead them forward. And for the first time in thousands of years, humanity stepped into the future with hope. Guided by the heart of a pharaoh and the light of a treasure that could burn empires, but had chosen to illuminate worlds instead. The Golden Ark pulsed gently, a flame of a new dawn in the world of humans united and wise. began to rise toward the stars.